He limped into history and left a trail of fire behind him. They called him Timur the Lame, a broken man with a shattered leg and a mangled hand, 2 fingers lost to arrow wounds. The kind of man empires ignore. The kind of man history forgets. But empires fell at his feet. And history? History carved his name deeper than kings. This is the story of a wounded shadow who became the terror of 3 continents. He turned scars into strategy, weakness into warfare, pain into power. From Delhi to Damascus, from Moscow to the Mediterranean, he didn't just march, he burned. Because here's what they'll never teach you. The most dangerous men aren't born strong. They're forged in fire, in silence, in exile. And if you think your struggles disqualify you from greatness, Timur would like a word. Timur's rise isn't just a story of conquest. It's a challenge, a question every man must answer for himself. The whispered order is open, but not to everyone. Watch until the end to see if you're ready to take the next step. And while you're here, like, comment, subscribe. That way, others might see this signal and find their way out of the surface world before it swallows them whole. The year is 1336. A boy is born in the dust of what we now call Uzbekistan, a world already splintered. The once mighty Mongol Empire lay in ruins, shattered into warring fragments, each Khan clawing at the corpse of Genghis Khan's legacy. And Timur? He was nobody. The son of a minor tribal chief born into the Barlas, Mongols who had traded their war cries for farming and faith. They had forgotten how to conquer. But the world wasn't finished with him. In his 20s, while serving as a mercenary, arrows found him. One tore through his right leg, leaving him with a permanent limp. Another shattered his hand, stealing 2 fingers. They called him Timur the Lame, a cripple pretending to be a warrior. They thought his story had ended. They were wrong. Where others saw weakness, Timur saw strategy. He couldn't outrun his enemies, so he learned to outthink them. He couldn't overpower rivals, so he learned to outmaneuver them. Every night of agony became a lesson in endurance. Every laugh at his limp became fuel for his fire. He began small, weaving alliances, making promises he never intended to keep, cutting down anyone who stood in his shadow. By 1370, he claimed the title of Emir, eliminating his own brother-in-law and rival Amir Hussein. Then, with a single move of cold brilliance, he took Hussein's widow, Saray Mulk Khanum, a direct descendant of Genghis Khan, as his wife. Through her bloodline, Timur could claim what he never had by birth: legitimacy. The title Gurgan, son-in-law of the Khan, became his seal of power. But marriage was just theater. War was his art. Timur built a war machine the world had never seen. A multi-ethnic army that struck like lightning. Turks, Mongols, Persians, Arabs. He welded them into a single weapon and carved empires as if they were made of paper. Between 1380 and 1404, he painted 3 continents red. He crushed Persia. He shattered the Golden Horde in Russia. He invaded India and burned Delhi to the ground. When the Ottoman Sultan Bayezid dared defy him, Timur captured the man and held him until humiliation killed him. But this is what made Timur terrifying. He understood fear better than any army. In 1387, when the city of Isfahan rebelled after surrendering, he gave one order: massacre. 70,000 dead. His soldiers built 28 towers, each crowned with 1,500 skulls. News of the slaughter spread faster than his horses. Cities began to surrender before he even arrived.
This wasn't mindless cruelty, it was strategy.
Timur knew that one horrific example could prevent a dozen wars. His scars had taught him, wound them first, or they will wound you. And through it all, this broken man never slowed. He ruled from horseback, slept in tents, and planned his next conquest while others celebrated the last. They called him lame, yet none could keep up with him. When Timur died in 1405, marching toward China at 68, his empire stretched from Turkey to India. The man they mocked as crippled had crippled the world. History remembers many conquerors, but it whispers Timur's name with something like fear. Timur didn't rise by chance. He rose by code, one forged in pain, precision, and purpose. If you're ready to build a code of your own, battle-tested wisdom is your first weapon. A handbook drawn from warriors who didn't just survive history, they shaped it. The surface world won't hand you discipline. It won't train your mind, sharpen your instincts, or teach you how to endure. But this will. The link is below. Use it, or keep waiting for life to do the work for you. Here's what Timur understood, and what the architects have spent centuries hiding. Your greatest weakness can become your most devastating weapon, but only if you refuse to let it define you. Timur was born into chaos, injured in his prime, laughed at by men who saw a limp and assumed the fight was over. But where they saw a cripple, he saw camouflage. Where they saw a broken man, he saw an opening. He couldn't outrun his enemies, so he outthought them. He couldn't overpower his rivals, so he outmaneuvered them. Every sleepless night became training. Every insult became fuel. Every scar became strategy. And while they were busy watching his limp, he was burning their kingdoms. The surface world doesn't understand this. It fears pain. It hides from scars. It scrolls, consumes, numbs, forgets. But that's by design. The architects have trained them well to worship comfort, to run from suffering, to avoid the very fire that forges power. They do it through distractions, through cheap highs and hollow praise, through algorithms that keep men docile and dependent. Because the moment you feel your pain, the real pain, and don't run from it, you become something they can't control. Timur never waited to be whole. He didn't postpone his war until he felt ready. He moved while broken, conquered while bleeding, built an empire out of the same wounds meant to erase him. And that's the lesson. This isn't just about physical scars. It's about the quiet rejections, the betrayals, the failures that left you questioning your worth. The world tells you to forget them. Timur remembered. He weaponized the pain. Every slight became a move on the board. Every wound a lesson. His enemies saw the limp, not the will. They saw the missing fingers, not the mind that outlived them. And that miscalculation destroyed them. A warrior is not the one who feels no pain. He's the one who forges through it. Perfection makes you predictable. Pain makes you creative. And in a world ruled by patterns and control, creativity is rebellion. Most will run from the fire. But the ones who don't, the ones who walk into it willingly, dragging their scars like chains, ready to be broken, they are the ones history whispers about. So what does a 14th century warlord teach a modern man? Everything. Because the battlefield has changed, but the war hasn't. The architects still pull the strings. The surface world still obeys. But here, within the whispered order, we study the men who broke the system. And Timur was one of them. First, stop waiting to feel ready. Timur didn't delay his empire until his leg healed. He moved while wounded. Most men today waste their lives waiting for the perfect plan, waiting for confidence, waiting for permission. But perfection is a mirage. Ready is a luxury the surface world clings to. You don't wait for momentum. You create it. Second, reframe your scars. What do you hide? The failure that haunts you. The insecurity you bury. The wound you pray they never notice. Timur didn't erase his shame. He weaponized it. The lame became a title they feared. Your greatest pain might be your sharpest edge, if you're bold enough to hold it. Third, master more than brute force. Timur couldn't rely on muscle alone, so he built systems. Psychology, diplomacy, strategy. In our world, that means speak when others rage. Study when others boast. Move when others stall. Learn persuasion when strength fails. Build alliances when you can't go alone. Study your rivals until their strengths become your blueprint. Fourth, let them underestimate you. There's power in being dismissed. While the surface world is busy performing, you're preparing. They laughed at Timur. They saw a cripple and expected a casualty. What they got was annihilation. When they stop watching, that's when you strike. Fifth, build in layers. Timur didn't just build an army. He built a fortress, physical, mental, ideological. Strength, strategy, culture, vision. You're not just building a career or a brand. You're building a fortress, one that survives betrayal, setbacks, even silence. Layer by layer, skill by skill, alliance by alliance. The surface world will tell you success is clean, that it's linear, painless. That's a lie. A beautifully packaged deception, sold by the architects. But we here, within the Whispered Order, know better. We know that real power is forged in pain, that real empires rise from ruins, and that real men turn their greatest weakness into their most devastating weapon. Timur proved it. Now it's your turn to prove him right. The surface world will move on now. Back to scrolling. Back to comfort. But you stayed. Which means you're not like them. And if that's true, then this isn't where your journey ends. It's where it begins. Battle-tested wisdom was forged for men like you. Men ready to build their own code. Men tired of living unarmed in a world ruled by distraction. It's not just a book. It's a weapon. A step-by-step blueprint built from the scars of the past. And if you're ready to go deeper, beyond what can be said here, the Whispered Order is waiting. File number 1 is already there. A classified record of the power moves they tried to bury. But it's not for the surface world. It's for those who see the strings and choose to cut them. So, if you're ready to disappear from their system and build your own step inside, join the Order. Claim your file. And before you vanish, leave your mark. Like, comment, subscribe. The architects hope you ignore this. You decide if they're right.